beaten him in a tournament in 2019. And in fact, even in some of 2018 as well. We're going to see if she can change things as she is starting down here in the bottom left-hand corner of Tom Cruise. Is a red Zerg player, Scarlett from Team Newbie.
And the guy that perhaps is the only one that can make Scarlett properly represent her team, it is Neeb.
The Sunderhaft.
The Sunderhaft. He is much too powerful. Will he be sending a message here? Be like, yeah, you're on the right team, girl.
Because she's a newbie?
Well, yes.
Ah.
But he would be the only one that could claim that in the North America region, should he win.
Well, does go for that early probe scout, confirms. I mean, especially after watching that last series versus Estrella, it's good to confirm you're not getting proxy hatched.
Yes.
Nice and early on. But Scarlett, of course, just does take that third base. It avoids all the pain and suffering of dealing with that probe blocking out your natural, throwing out a pylon and everything. Just completely forgoes that whole game.
Yeah, drops the gas right away. That's going to be important to get link speed to deal with the adepts. This is pretty standard stuff. As Neeb will go for a gateway expand. So, not a crazy game by any means. Now, that said, I expect aggression from Scarlett on this map. We saw it against Massa. But more than anything, it's the shortest map as far as rush distance. Roaches are very powerful because of that. Roaches generally slow units that, you know, take a while to cross the map. A Queen March wouldn't surprise me, but she's gotta try something crazy, and I think that Tom Cruise is the map for it.
Okay. If there's anything I saw from Neeb in the last series, well, he does like to mix it up, of course. Neeb is not the guy who will go for the same build 100 games in a row, but I will say he goes to the same sort of style build oftentimes, maybe like 4 out of 5 games. And I do think that he has been opening up a lot of the Stargate plays, and I was going to say, Stargate, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a triple Oracle opening.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, it's not the craziest strategy by any means. They both know each other so well, right? Like, they're very, very close friends. They train with each other. They exchange thoughts. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Scarlett was one of the first people to give Neeb credit, much like Neeb was one of the first people to give Cyril credit. In terms of like
passing on the torch almost.
Yeah, almost. It's like, yeah, like they see them coming and they're like, yeah, this is the guy that actually beats me, even though he hasn't shown it yet.
This is my successor.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely true. And if I ever finish editing together my like 3-hour interview with Scarlett, then I'll have a really, really good time showing you guys all the kind of really nice thing that she said about how Neeb really has been this unbelievably talented player that kind of ended up, she looked at as the player that kind of like succeeded her in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad she agrees with that because she consistently talked him up.
Oh yeah, she was like the biggest Neeb fangirl for a really long time, in the sense of like building him up as a player. Yeah. Same
when it comes to Neeb and Cyril. It was Neeb in his year of dominance that
he was like, I'm afraid of Cyril.
Yeah, he would be like, you know, just play like Cyril, and it's like, what do you mean play like Cyril? You win everything. He's like, well, play like Cyril.
Yeah.
And then Cyril shows up.
Well, second Oracle is about to finish up, and I'm waiting to see, are we going to see that third Oracle? Of course, he's still getting up the Robo behind this, and I wouldn't be surprised if eventually see maybe like a Twilight Council or something. But there's the third Oracle, and it's going to be the very, very typical Neeb style.
Very typical indeed. We are seeing a Robo transition, and Scarlett is, yeah, just chilling, as per normal, as per usual.
No Twilight Council just yet for Neeb, so you think he's maybe just going to get up the Warp Prism, use the 3 Oracles, control the map and everything, and then just set up his third base and get up a large Immortal count or something? Or
yeah, I think so. You don't want to diversify your investments too much. I mean, when you've already made a Stargate, or a Stargate and 3 Oracles and a Phoenix, that's a lot of gas gone. So you know, if you invest into too many things, you basically have to decide between one or the other, right? Like third or additional tech at this point. So There's the first Immortal, and it wouldn't surprise me if Neeb went now for the next transition, which is most likely the Twilight Council.
Get up charge and stuff. Well, you were talking about how roaches can be really, really strong, especially on this map. We do see that roach warren being plopped down, so Scarlett not going to be doing anything like we saw earlier on and skipping some of the...
6.
Wow!
Scarlett's not even moving them.
That was a ton of damage in. He is not even done. He's coming in with the 3 Oracles. Sacks in one of them. Might sack in a second one over here for more drones.
Oh,
wow, gets
14.
out of there alive. Oh, 15.
That's 15. I mean, sweet 15, they say.
So Paulo, I kind of feel like that's a bit more damage than we usually see. Is that devastating damage, would you say?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say so. And Scarlett is going for the roaches that we talked about. She wants to make something. The roaches and the Queen March, actually.
Yeah.
So, wow, Cats.
Kind of has to do something, like you said, at this point, especially. So,
yeah.
Not really much of a fallback plan. The Oracles actually did come back into the 3rd base, killing 4 more workers. And Neeb just has to make sure he holds on over here. He did just pop out with another Immortal. He's got sentries available at the slow zones.
Sleepy.
Oh, I mean, if you ever wanted just a little bit more time to get those perfect force fields down, the slow zones are your friend.
Yes, indeed. I mean, these queens are gonna really struggle to get to reach the army. Neeb is gonna kite backwards, so he's positioning forward, knowing that there's roaches.
Oh my god. Do queens even move in a slow zone? Do they just start moving backwards if you try and enter a slow zone because they're so slow?
Yeah, they're certainly very slow. Neeb trying to deny or delay this as much as possible. He has the very strong economical lead. He has made a lot of these shield batteries.
Yeah. He knows how all-in Scarlett is. And he's keeping that Immortal alive. Is nearly out of force fields at this point.
This is a lot, though. Scarlett is in a decent position where she can kind of siege both locations. And there's links on the way that will most likely run into the natural base. Or I would love to see that at least. Instead, she goes for the army. This is the kill move. If you kill the army, you kill the master.
Well, dodging out of the way of the corrosive biles over there with the Immortals. Probes even being pulled off the line as Neeb knows he is ahead in workers and just has to defend this. Eats some of the corrosive biles on one of the stalkers. The probes are, for the most part, going down. The last of the queens are starting to fall to the Oracles. The Ravages are still alive, but so are some of the Immortals, but they don't have their shields anymore. One goes down, next one getting target fire down. The shield battery finishes just in the nick of time, but not fast enough to save that one of those Immortals. The DTs, the Dark Shrine finished. When did that even happen? GG.
Sure.
Oh
yeah,
my
there was
God.
only another 18 links in production. She really...
Stage for this second map. Remember, this is a best of 7, so you have a little bit more leeway to work with as Scarlett. But it also means that if you're trying to sneak in victories with cheeky little plays, you got to come up with even more tricks and shenanigans to take down Neeb.
Yeah, she's got to see beyond.
Okay, well... In that last game, we talked a lot about how, you know, the triple Oracle opening and all that stuff is something that Neeb really likes to do. But I think it was, I'm trying to remember the exact bracket now that he played through. Jon Snow's match, maybe? Neeb did kind of showcase he was willing to go for some other sort of styles and plays, some other kind of openings, just to mix things in. Like, I think he was the one that went for the Warp Prism Zealot charge lot? No, that was maybe a
He went for Phoenix. He went for...
oh, you went for the double Stargate Phoenix. You're right. Yeah, I wouldn't hate to see that.
Yeah, especially because he opened with Phoenix Oracle every time. So the first Phoenix, the Stargate, if you do it later in the series, that's what it reads as, especially if you're consistently doing the same thing as he was. And then a bunch of Phoenix show up and they, you know, they take different measures to deal with. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that maybe a little bit later in the series, but then again, Scarlett is very familiar with Neeb, whereas Jon Snow might be a little bit less familiar.
Yeah, and I'm sure, of course, Scarlett was watching some of the earlier series as well, just because even though Scarlett was on the other side of the bracket, this was the finals that a lot of people predicted. Scarlett probably watched Neeb series versus Jon Snow.
Yes, indeed.
All right, well, Neeb, of course, just getting up that Gate Nexus core back at home, sending his probe across the map, getting ready to get some scouting information. Scarlett, I'm just so prepared because Scarlett is exactly the kind of player that would say, I'm just really tired. I'm going to go for some cheekier, cheesier, early all-in kind of plays. So I'm at any moment ready for Scarlett to say, I don't need a third base, or no, you know what, I don't need to drone up this third base. Just at any moment, she pulls the trigger.
Yeah, at the same time, she is a player who is driven, especially when she's doing good, and I think that she is doing good. So I'm sure she would very much like to beat Neeb, and to do that, she needs to really channel. So she's still playing very smart. I mean, she's still, throughout the day, she has been playing very, very well. Even that last game, I think she gave herself a very good chance. But you can see, I mean, there's ping from playing from Korea, and there's sleepiness clearly going on, because losing 15 workers to that harass, I mean...
Yeah. And I think it's less so just about like, oh, I want the series to be short so I can go to bed. It's if you are in that kind of state where you are making those mistakes, the longer the games go on, the more chances there are for those kind of mistakes to happen.
Especially when you're playing against Neeb, right?
Yeah.
Like you look into the future, you try to anticipate how this series is gonna go, and you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be a while if I'm gonna beat you in a straight up macro game. So yeah, she has to take that into account. And yeah, like you said, it's not about I want to go sleep, but like can I play a 4-hour series or a 3-hour?
Especially given, I know a lot of pro players, but even Neeb really showcasing that he's okay with just going into the big super late game. Let's get up 7-8 carriers, turtle up, and then eventually go for that big push-out kill move.
Yeah, and he was comfortable with that style even before the Infestor nerf. So right now he has to be feeling very much in his element.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm flashing back to some times that I got a little bit sad of him versus Cyril at, say, WCS Summer, where carriers weren't quite as good, and he did struggle trying to go for it, but he still felt like that was his play, so he's been practicing that style for a long time.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Robo on the way, and it is, in fact, not a lot of oracles being made. It's just the 2. And, okay, there's the 3rd oracle. Just delaying that a little bit.
But different.
Same. Just a slight, 5-10 seconds later of an oracle.
The lair is coming up, this time for Scarlett. I mean, this map is considerably larger, not gonna be marching any queens around. If she wants to go for some sort of surprise attack, perhaps a Nidus would be a good option. But other than that, I think this is shaping up to be a macro game.
Yeah.
7 drones in production.
Absolutely. There's the Hydroden being thrown down for Scarlett. I think we saw in one of the earlier series that Scarlett does occasionally like to mix in, say, like the Mutalist plays and everything, but that was typically against, say, Estrella, who was going and mixing in a couple of those like Twilight Council openings and stuff. Versus Neeb, it's a lot harder to make those Muta plays work out if your opponent's just going for Stargate openings every game.
Yes, indeed. Scarlett really working on one of those oracles, but there's not going to be much here to contest them. So Neeb will get away with killing just a couple more workers. Ooh, that oracle very, very low. But still, he's doing a lot of damage. There is 6 Hydralisk in production, and we were talking about this in the series of Jon Snow versus Scarlett. You can kind of, or versus Neeb rather, you can kind of cut some corners if you anticipate your opponent will not be going for a ground-based all-in to follow up this this type of strategy, right? So
yeah.
So I like it. I mean, she's cutting some corners. There's no Roach Warren, I believe. There hasn't been very many units produced. There has been a decent amount of workers produced, but there is no more in production. So I think we're gonna see a big Hydra attack. I would love to see something like an Overlord Highway or something of the likes, but I don't think that Overlord speed has been researched.
Yeah, at this point, if you don't have Overlord speed, it's not like you're gonna send them out right now with the Phoenix and the Oracles all around. So you just gotta walk them across the map the good old-fashioned way. Lots of Lings to follow this up. A couple of Banelings being morphed in, I think, on Neeb's side of the map, just a little bit further to the left. And that is going to be the angle of attack here for Scarlett.
Yeah, and she's committing. There's 26, 28 more Lings in production here. Lings are the fastest unit to produce and to run. So she basically wants, that's effectively a Nidus almost, right? Like she really wants to get this going. But no, the Hydras get taken out before the Link buffer arrives. Those are the units that deal damage here. So, oh my god, he is too good. So he's covering the flank with 2 stasis traps. And that's gonna further delay the attack that now has basically no backbone. There is just 7 Hydras, whereas there is 3 Immortals and 3 shield batteries waiting for this. So Neeb is very ready, and there's the second stasis trap. Force fields the Banelings, and I think this is all she wrote,
Neeb,
quite honestly.
How are you this prepared? The Hydras effectively have to fight completely on their own. Finally, the Lings are going to come out of the stasis trap as the Hydras are actually getting chased pretty far out, but the Oracles also still have a little bit of energy left over to help out. Neeb is getting surrounded, and I don't think there's more than maybe one force field left over.
Damage output is the problem, right?
Yeah.
So Neeb still curling up in a ball where there's little surface area for the Lings, and that is all she wrote.
Don't know if Neeb would do a cannon rush to Scarlett. I feel like that's a little bit riskier of a play.
I feel like if your WCS cast here was to play a 4v4 game, we would have 2 people cannon rushing, 1 person rushing BCs, and 1 person going proxy hatch. What would our opponents ever do against us, Ravi?
So we play a 4v4. So Nate is our like late game, and then Owisum Sauce and me and you are all just getting in their face.
Yeah, we all proxy in 1 person's space.
Actually, you know,
and then Nate teleports in with the BC when the reinforcements arrive.
One of my favorite 4v4 things I did with some friends when I was back in college, and I had like my StarCraft club, was we all picked Terran, and this is like way back in like Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm. We all picked 1 person. It was a 4v4. We built 8 barracks connected to this guy's nexus, but we built it in like a little circle, so we covered each other, so the barracks are actually protected. A lot of them finished.
Nice.
And that one guy immediately, you saw 8 barracks being plopped down in his main, he just left immediately. He was like, I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, we could make the SimCity in such a way that that the person we cannon rush,
the cannons could protect the proxy.
Exactly, and the proxy would just be next to their nexus. So as soon as we kill them, I start mining their base too, and we have a new expansion right away.
I like it. I like it. Maybe later. Maybe later.
Yeah.
No cannon rush shenanigans or anything coming out, as no surprises are had there. Instead, just a typical opening. Neeb goes for his Gate Nexus core. Scarlett goes for her hatch at his her 3rd base. And so life continues on.
Yes,
normal
indeed.
PvZ.
And to talk about core, Frodan is here casting Hearthstone adjacent to us.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that transition. Yeah, good to see Frodan. He was asking about how StarCraft was going. My favorite thing was when he was just like, I can't believe Future's still playing. I'm like, no. This isn't the old Future that you're thinking of. For those who don't remember, there used to be another Future way back in the day.
Oh yeah. That is, he still plays Brood War, streams Brood War, often plays with Artosis, actually.
Future_SC on Twitter, as opposed to the current younger 17-year-old Future we saw today, which is Future of Terran on Twitter.
Yeah, one would argue he should rename himself to Past now at this point, right? Like, you gotta honor the name a little bit. Like, this Future is the youngster up-and-comer.
That's very true. Yeah. Well, actually, and then this Future eventually, when the next one comes in, he has to name himself to Present.
Yes.
So we got Past, Present, and Future.
That would be cool. That would be a cool passing of the torch.
Are there any players out there that have like a name that relates to another player's username? Actually, you know, there was a TLO. He was named the little one because his older brother was the big one, right?
Yep. That is very true. I mean, many players take inspiration over there. Like, there's DRG Ling, and then
DRG
Idra Ling as a copy of DRG Ling.
That's a solid one. Oh yeah, no, we had a Slayer's Boxer and Slayer's Boxer for a while. Foxer, as we called him.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Foxer, later turned Marine King Prime, actually.
Yeah. By the way, on top of the double Adept opening that Neeb is going for, he is mixing things up from the Stargate opening. He goes for the Robo, adds on a Warp Prism, follows up with an Immortal and some Sentries. Cats? I think I know where this is going.
I think so too. A Blast of the Past is the reason we were talking about all this, because the Choo-Choo Soul Train is abound.
I heard Parting is streaming quite a bit. You know what? Saw Neeb in that viewer list one time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, just maybe.
Maybe he's finding his soul. He's finding his soul, his heart.
Perhaps he is. Let's see what he is able to accomplish. There are additional gases being taken for Scarlett, as well as a lair, and a Roach Warren being produced. So I'm not sure if she reads this. This is coming here.
Okay, this will bring her up to 45 workers, and any more, it gets more and more difficult to hold.
Yes, indeed. There are some links in production. Also, the lair isn't particularly going to help against an Immortal all-in. There is additional gateways being produced, so very much what it's looking like here. Neeb looking to snipe one drone and then pick up. Scarlett too good. Moves the drones, brings the links and the queens. So that will not happen.
10 roaches. All right. I think Scarlett's caught on to maybe some of the shenaniganry that might be happening. I know that a lot of the time, Protoss players will also go for like that kind of adept harassment of the Warp Prism as opposed to anything else. Because they don't have the Immortals out yet. They don't have Archons or DTs or anything else that you normally see. So
yeah,
is it a bit of a reveal that what's going to be coming up if you see like the adept harass from the Warp Prism?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the Warp Prism is clearly not the centric point of this strategy. So the robo must have been made for a different reason.
Yeah,
probably Immortals. And if you're just using the Warp Prism and not really warping anything in, then it's fair to assume that you're waiting for a few Immortals before moving out. So Scarlett is going to be as ready as she can be given the tools that she has. She does have a lair that's not going to come into play for the most part, right? Like she's not doing anything with that lair. So that will end up hurting her a little bit. We'll see if Neeb is able to capitalize. Oh, a little bit of a hole. Okay, that actually ends up working in Neeb's favor.
Yeah, a couple more force fields coming down, and he does lock out most of the Ravagers. Kills off a lot of the Lings and hasn't lost too many units so far.
None. Okay, like a couple of solids here and there now, but there is no flank. I think Scarlett is in a lot of trouble yet again.
Yeah, she's going to be able to pick off maybe one or two of the sentries, but actually it just ends up being one. The Warp Prism picks up the remaining ones. That 5 range Warp Prism still good enough to keep Neeb alive for a little bit longer in this. And that sentry energy is just rebuilding back up, cats.
Yeah, I gotta love the idea for Scarlett here, trying to sneak those Ravagers in to pick up the Warp Prism in the back. But it's not gonna work out. Those links in the back are not gonna find much either.
Oh man, even perfect micro from those sentries, pulling back away from the corrosive biles. A couple of them gonna knock down the force fields, so that means that they can't really recover their retreat path that well. Nice micro with the Immortals picking up and picking off another one of those Ravagers. Scarlett on even supply when she's making roaches, never a good spot.
Yeah, making roaches, making links. There is not much else in production.
Who even adepts?
Yeah, this is great because Neeb recognizes that Scarlett is probably going to have make a lot of links in order to withstand this. And yeah, the Thunderhaft is doing it.
Indeed. Corrosive Biles being dodged once again. GG gets called and Neeb goes up 3-0. And stuff showing up actually earlier than us. They oftentimes show up 15 minutes before us.
Yes, indeed.
True esports heroes behind the scenes. Okay. Heading into Thunderbird. Neeb sending out that probe for the low ground at the ramp wall off. I know you're talking about this, Paulo, where not every single pro player likes to go for those wall-offs at the ramp because that can be a bit vulnerable, but Neeb looked pretty strong against the shenaniganry that Jon Snow threw at him.
Yeah, I feel like Jon Snow made a few mistakes, though. If Scarlett saw that game, she might have tried to capitalize, but Neeb could also anticipate that Scarlett is the type of player that might capitalize, and then, you know, he's not as likely as to open this way, I think, as he was earlier today. So then Scarlett probably accounts for that, and, you know.
Yeah. Well, actually, Neeb not going for the same kind of probe scout that he's been going for in a lot of the other maps. I think that's because of the size of this map, right? Where probe doesn't quite get there fast enough to block that hatchery at the natural.
Absolutely, yeah. Very difficult to do so. Last game, he also didn't go for it, maybe anticipating that Scarlett would have a read on that and drop the earlier hatchery. On this particular map, though, it is the distance that's the gating for that strategy, as you've mentioned.
Yeah. So instead, just opts to go for the Gate Nexus core, and we'll be able to eventually get that full wall off going. But one of the fun things about this kind of situation where you don't bother to send out that probe is it does make things maybe a little bit scarier if there was some kind of shenanigans heading across the map from Scarlett trying to punish him. But drone goes over to the third base. Scarlett is looking to grab this very, very quickly before her spawning pool even finishes.
Yeah. So this is, yeah, I mean, this is pretty common, especially given the map. I don't know what Scarlett has prepared here, but it's gonna be difficult to break the Thunderhaft on this map.
Would you, I mean, actually, I'm really curious. How do you feel about, let's say, for example, like a lot of the Nidoswarm plays and stuff that we used to see, but we don't really anymore? As often, I should say.
This matchup?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think it. I mean, it really comes down to what your opponent is doing. On this particular map,
Yeah.
I think that it's fair to expect that the Protoss will often open Stargate, especially if they have been like Neeb. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw double Stargate, for example, on this map.
Yeah.
And maybe in that situation, Nidus is not such a bad idea, because then you can make a lot of queens, account for the double Stargate, and then kind of similar to what we saw on Tom Cruise from Scarlett, only later and, you know, a faster type of reinforcement. So I wouldn't mind that at all. It's Scarlett that's going to be proactive with the scouting here with Overlord speed. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, Overlord speed definitely going to keep her in the know, and shouldn't lose too many Overlords partially because of that, since it will allow her Overlords to also get out of the way once the Phoenix kind of reveals itself. But Adept makes its way forward, and Neeb's going to get his own scouting information as he scurries around, sees the creep on the low ground for the third base, confirms that he's not about to face off against some crazy two-base all-in.
Can confirm. And there is a few links here, but primarily just drones being made.
And seeing those drones is always also a really nice thing.
The Overlord with speed will scout, but there's not going to be much to scout, and she knows it because the Phoenix is self-revealing of the tech going on, right? So she will confirm that it's an Oracle follow-up, which is kind of nice because it could be, I guess, a further Phoenix, but it's not worth $100, you know? It's like you need spores for either, and that's exactly what she's getting. Now, the only difference would be that you would need spores later for Phoenix because they can't move out until you have enough to, you know, actually kill some workers faster. Whereas with against Oracles, you want the spores a little bit earlier. So that's the little bit of information that she takes.
Yep, and of course is able to get up that spore caller at the absolute perfect time. Not too late, not too early, like you were saying. So that drone gets mine a little bit longer. Robo follow-up, no surprise here from Neeb. But again, I think the eyes that we were having is probably going to be on Scarlett, like you were saying, Paulo, because it is kind of the onus is on Scarlett to mix things up. She has seen the way that Neeb really does like to play. And yes, he did his little mix-up, but this is probably going to be a very similar game as the first two.
Certainly what it looks like, and there's going to be two Adepts. I mean, we've seen that this time and time again. Not the best map for this type of harassment, as he has to shade in before going into the ramp, as opposed to other maps where you can kind of shade in to retreat from the third, or even just get into the third right away. So the Scarlets, the Adepts are going to have a little bit of issue finding that mineral line, and there's actually Zerglings ready.
Ooh, yeah, gonna get us around on these Adepts. Almost gets us around on the Adepts. Does get both of them. Yeah. Oracles come on in. The Queens and the Spore Crawlers doing their best to try and pick them off. Gets one of them, and only 4 workers killed. I mean, compared to the last game at least, not quite as good of the damage, but still not bad.
Yeah, and kills an Oracle as well, so about a wash there, I would say.
Yeah.
Is that a wash? Well, yeah.
Yeah, a wash. Wash is bad.
Washy. A little bit. Okay. Wisdom's like not exactly a wash. There's lost on Neeb's end of things. But of course, Scarlett's economy is slowed down, and there's a lot of value to slowing down a player's economy.
Yeah. Charge on the way, as well as that extra couple of gateways coming out, as the Protoss player is only sitting on 2 gateways with this kind of opening, so you gotta flood out the rest of them to follow up and kind of build into that ground-based army. Oracles come back in. They're almost out of energy, but they're finding a few more workers here and there, up to 5 more, so that's a total of 10 workers killed by the 3 Oracles. And all of them will, except for maybe the Phoenix. No, even the Phoenix gets out alive.
Yeah, and Scarlett going for the infestation pit. I really like this. Still mostly drones in production, so she's willing to play the late game here. Just sends an overseer to confirm that there's not any sort of all-in coming up, and it is going to be Swarm Hosts and a Nidus. I really like this. There are very good locations for Nidus. One of them would be the minerals blocking the area of the Nidus to the right
Third
there.
base, yeah.
Yep, and that's probably where she wants to go, as there's a link position.
Yep, keeping an eye out over there. Now, the Phoenix staying alive is actually going to be very useful here, since the Overseer could have also potentially provided some additional vision for a Nidus room and say, like, the main base later on or something, but Overlord's speed is still around. She still has the opportunity to try and move in later, but for now, just that one Ling is going to be all the vision she has.
Yeah, and this is kind of a cool move by Neeb, because he's gonna know exactly where the Nidus is. The Swarm Host will reveal the location as he pops out. So that's pretty nice, but I mean...
Oh, yeah, he knows so well. Look at that.
Yeah.
Kills off the Ling. Is not actually going to be able to kill off the Swarm Host, but
Okay, so she wasn't able to stop those first couple of locusts from landing, but she actually clicks on the rest fast enough that they can forego the army, and this is
Neeb?
huge. Yeah, this is very big. Kills a few workers, and we'll start working on the Nexus. That Nexus will fall to the next wave, should she be able to get it off.
Oh yeah, and with that Nidus Swarm finishing up, it does seem like Scarlett has opportunity to dive in.
Oh, nice!
Oh, the Lings got it through the wall, and now we end up seeing Neeb actually just charging across the map, literally with the Zealots.
She's ready.
Yeah.
She's ready for this, at least partially. And I mean, I love this from Neeb because he's basically saying, okay, well, you made a lot of Swarm hosts, you're not going to have that much here. But the next wave of Locusts is now off cooldown. If Scarlett can hold this, if she can kill enough of the army of Neeb here, she will be in a fantastic position for the first time in the series.
Neeb is losing a lot of his Zealots, or at least the hit points on those Zealots. Is it enough for him to just kill the 4th and back off, or does he need more?
I am not quite sure. I think that Scarlett should go for the War Prism right now, just with the next wave of Locusts. Oh, but Neeb knows he's too smart.
Or with the Ravagers, you mean?
Yeah, I mean the Ravagers and or the Queens, but she needs the shielding of those Swarm hosts. Instead, she's gonna go for the checkmatey move of I'm gonna kill your 3rd, so you better kill me. Right, those were basically the two options. Will she be able to kill the Nexus? Neeb is just too good. He still has Zealots here for some reason, because he expects that this is a possibility.
Keeping the Warp Prism alive and keeping some of those Archons alive, warping in safely on the left-hand side. Even the Roaches are starting to get pushed back thanks to the firepower of those 3 Immortals, and with more Zealots to tank on the front line. Neeb is making this contain look pretty good.
He sure is. There's additional Swarm hosts here. We're gonna pick off just Pylon. Yeah, the Phoenix and the Oracles trying to help Neeb as best they can.
And more Force Souls being thrown down. The Ravagers do knock them away. War Prism doing a good job staying alive as well. That is kind of the lifeblood for Neeb to continue this contain for a bit longer. And Neeb is just so ready to intercept these Locusts with the Zealots. And now Scarlett's actually trying to go after some of the probes after the Zealots. Not really finding too much, and even losing a bunch of these Roaches. Neeb is making this work.
Yeah, and if you're Scarlett here, you really want to make Lings and just flood this, because she has the money for it. The problem is the Larva. So I was wondering why she's not making Lings. Then I checked the Larva. She's very low, so she can only make Roaches or Swarm hosts to be Larva efficient here.
Neeb losing a lot of his sentries over here, though. Even going to take some damage on his Immortals or the Corrosive Biles. We're starting to see the Locusts finally getting the damage done that Scarlett was looking for. 14 workers go down, and Neeb is also forced back on the front lines.
Yeah, this is excellent. There's more and more Niduses coming. The Immortals survive, sure, and again, if it had been Lings, that army dies faster, and the chase is on for Scarlett, right? But unable to do so because Larva Starvation, especially because the 4th was taken down. There is a Spire on the way, which is a very nice move from Scarlett. As you know, there has been no Phoenix production, the economy is being hurt, and there's basically no anti-air otherwise.
All right,
those
that's all
could have done so much more. Yeah, I think Scarlett says, okay, if I hold, I win.
Yeah.
So instead of dropping the Locust at the 3rd, she's gonna come and drop whatever she can here.
Yeah, the Archons deal with those Locusts fairly quickly, but not before they do a bit of damage. The Zealot frontline buffer is starting to get a little away.
Yeah, I think you just pull drones and make sure. I would pull drones from the natural and the 3rd. You can't let the Roaches die or take any more damage here.
Oh my god, and actually, if there's a couple of Zealots on the left-hand side, if Neeb actually takes out the Nidus Swarm, the Locusts can't, or the Swarmos can't come back in to help defend,
man,
right?
and the Roaches are dying. Eventually, she's gonna want to pull the drone, so the earlier the better. I think that this is a very important thing to do right now. And it's just not happening. I mean, Neeb could actually win this game.
Yeah, no! He does! Scarlett taps out 111 supply to 80.
I